never spill.
You got some Twisted Lime there?
Yeah, dude.
That is literally the only seltzer water that I can stand. With the Topo Lime.
Really?
That's it.
What's the problem with normal seltzer water?
Well, Andrew, let me tell you, I am a super taster.
What?
I'm sorry.
We've talked about this.
No, we haven't.
Yes.
Something your mom called you as a child. You pretend it's real.
No, so it's a real thing. Look it up. Read the flight manifest.
Is it like synesthesia, but you just double down on one sense?
Yeah. No. It's I taste specific,
literally looking it up.
specific flavor, or not taste, but specific taste, like more strongly than others. So like bitter flavors are extra bitter to me.
Right.
So I don't like seltzer. It's too bitter. Coffee's too bitter.
Right.
Really hoppy beers. Most vegetables, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
They all have like a really bitter taste. A lot of them do.
Mm-hmm.
My dumb wife's cooking. This is like some weird. This does seem like some weird thing that like a kid dreamed up.
Absolutely.
Like is like that is just a sort of character detail for like a kid who later in the movie will get a giant check from a millionaire and then get to buy whatever he wants. But it's like, oh no, I'm a super taster. No Brussels sprouts, please.
Yeah, it's like a story about like a movie about a kid that becomes like the star like candy taster at a big factory.
Hey, Mom, Dad, also my grandparents who also live here. A local pedophile wants me to work as a taster alone in a locked room with prison dwarfs. Can I do it? What's in your flavor profile then? Like, what can you tolerate?
I mean, most things. It's just bitter flavors that are really, really bad.
And like, so then seltzer water tastes like acrid and like pennies.
I've tried so many different ones because I'd love to be one of you people, enjoying your bubbly waters. Yeah. But they're all too much. It's too much for me. LaCroix is like poison. Just a nightmare. Well, it's so carbonated.
Have you tried key lime? It tastes like Skittles.
Oh. No.
Okay, well, just putting that out there.
Is there key lime LaCroix?
Yeah.
No, I haven't tried it.
Question.
Hit it.
So, everyone here went through the public education system in Texas, yes?
That's right.
Yeah, we all took biology at the same time. Did you ever do that test where they it was to demonstrate like genetic variation or whatever, and they would like hand out strips of paper to the class and would have the like bitterness chemical on it.
Yeah.
So did you ever do that?
Did you feel like I did, but I don't remember it at all. I could not tell you any specifics about how I reacted.
You're like, oh, you mean the day I threw up on the girl I was in love with for 2 years?
I mean, probably. Yeah. It's.
What's the worst thing that you ever did to embarrass yourself in front of a potential paramour?
Oh man.
Oh, I got a story.
Okay, good.
I don't.
This is what this podcast is now.
It's not. This is true horror.
This is a coming of age podcast.
Yeah. I didn't outwardly like do something to embarrass myself, but it was like an embarrassing realization. So there was this girl in like middle school I had a really big crush on. And at the time, it was, what'd you say? Unrequited. She didn't know I liked her, but I was like weird and obsessed with her as like a 7th grader or whatever.
Yeah.
And classic shit. Yeah.
You know how that goes.
Yeah.
Okay, relax everybody.
But I remember going up the stairs in school one day and she was coming down the stairs and she was like with her friends and I like glanced over at her and I was like, oh, it's her. And I just heard under her breath, oh, it's him. I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
Oh.
Well, hey man, you were on her radar.
Yeah.
You'd been shooting your shot and not realizing it the entire time. You're like, I'm one with the shadows. She doesn't know that I'm watching her every move. That's pretty bad. That is like tone is like so potentially like eviscerating. We literally can't. This cannot be a podcast about like about us being like, why won't they love us back? truly, we cannot do that. But here goes. Here's a story I've got. So, Fiesta, Texas, San Antonio, right?
Awful
it's
start.
like, I know. Well, it's like, so to me, like it was sold in either explicitly by somebody or in my imagination that this is a place that you would go. They had this like new section that is like a kind of boardwalk, like Americana mid-century vibe. You're good. All right. And so like, oh, a boardwalk. And you know what happens underneath the boardwalk? Literally, this is the thought that goes through my head. It's
Were
like,
you
we'll
a fucking
hand
1950s
thing. Yeah, exactly. I'll show her my switchblade.
Steven's a real old soul.
Her petticoat will get wet. One thing will lead to another. Hand jive. And so we get there, and it's a real mixed group, boys, girls. And we get there, and like
that means there was one girl and
no.
7 or 8 boys.
It was fairly balanced, right? So it's like, all right, maybe there's a chance. Gonna get the first kiss action here, right? And so we go there, and then I'm like, wait. Like, I don't know, literally, I was shocked and, like, saddened to discover it's obviously not coastal. Like, the boardwalk is cosmetic, not functional. So it's not 10 feet off the ground and you can walk underneath it. It's, like, a foot off the ground and it's all illusion. So I was like, okay, there's gonna be places to, like, kind of, like, steal away when the sun goes down. So then, you know, we smashed some footlong conies and big cokes, which is my second mistake. My first mistake was ever thinking that anything would happen. My second mistake was to eat a true combustible combination of like carnival
I love
food.
where this is going.
So we get into teacups. And it's like boys v girls.
You got into teacups.
It's a ride.
Oh, no,
but like it's a kid's ride that we were like kind of like goofing on. Like,
Was it literally teacups?
It was probably. It's the teacups at Disney, but it was that general thing.
Way
I
to
think.
absolutely
You
rip
pulled
them
the
off.
wheel in the center.
Exactly.
To, like, spin it.
Andrew knows how
Yeah.
this works.
Yeah.
So it moves on the outside to kind of create some centrifugal force, and then everybody on the inside cranks this big kind of flat wheel to spin faster and faster. So you're spinning kind of on two axes, or like in two.
Mm-hmm.
So then some bored teenager, not unlike the people who are in this movie that we saw today, is like, oh, boys, looks like the girls are spinning faster, and we can't stand that, right? So everybody really starts cranking it. And I'm just like...
You all start cranking off.
Yeah, we all start beating off. So we can whip our ejaculate at them as they spin by, like Silence of the Lambs. So we're going really, really fast, and I'm like, all right. Y'all, we need to stop, you know, like doing that thing.
A different kind of ejaculate.
Taste. It's getting ejected. It's just, you could feel the bile and you could taste in the back of your throat. And then it was like, you know, like the memory of it is no doubt heightened, and this isn't what actually happened, but the volume. Okay, so I just go like, oh no, and then like lean between my legs and puke with such force and volume that like, when they opened the little door on the teacup, the little half door, I distinctly remember like it sloshing out. Like there was like so much loose on the ground. But I puked on all the dudes. Good. And then like looked up and was like, bleh, and I had it like all down the front of me. Man. And then I was like, oh no. And so I just scurried over the edge and ran. And like abandoned my friends.
Whoa.
And hid in a bathroom and was like, I'll just live in this bathroom now. I'll make friends in this bathroom. I'll teach myself arithmetic in this bathroom. And then, like what felt like an eternity later, one of the girls, like came in and was like, I have an extra shirt for you. Like, I'll help you like clean you up basically and like change you.
I'll change you.
I got baby powder.
Exactly. She's like, we've got Desitin for your chapped dick. And then I just had to wear her like really giant shirt around for the neck because she's like a full foot and a half taller than me. Yeah. And then like we've talked about this before, where like all my friends in middle school were like super Zoftig and like some sort of weird R. Crumb fantasy, and I was like like a little slip of a boy. So I'm just walking around in her giant Gap shirt, and I like kept it and had it for years afterwards. But like everybody was kind of cool about it, but also because like everyone was like, well, it's not like we were ever gonna fuck you. So like you throwing up is definitely like kind of like in keeping with what we expect of you.
You sexless little waif.
Yeah, exactly. I texted them all last week to let them know I got pubes.
Joke's on you. All right, I'm gonna tell one that it turned out well, it worked for me, but it's still embarrassing. God, I hate to say it. So I was on a date with my high school girlfriend. It was like our second date, maybe. And it was like, we weren't seeing each other in any regularity. It was just kind of like, is this going to be a thing? And we went to a coffee shop. Cool.
Very cool, though, at the time. It was like
very cool
kind
at
of
the time.
Cool and urbane and mature.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though I don't drink coffee because, again, I am a super taster. So I probably had like an Italian soda or some sort of diabetic beverage. So there was an open mic going on, unbeknownst to me.
Oh, yeah.
And so people, Steven's glasses are fogging up from the nervous energy. So, we're there and we're talking or whatever, and she's like, I dare you to go up and do something. And I was like, no, I couldn't. Just a lot of like that, no, I'm not going to do it back and forth. And then it became clear, like, she wanted this to happen. And I was like, okay, I guess I got to do it. So the only song that I could think of that I knew.
So a cappella?
A cappella that I knew all the words to, that I knew I was like, well, I can like halfway sing this, was What I Got by Sublime. So that night in Beaumont, Texas, several patrons of man, what the fuck was this place's name? I don't know. Something Joe's.
Yeah, Cup of Joe.
Were treated to a fucking fat little half goth singing What I Got by Sublime a cappella to serenade his young love. Yeah. Deeply embarrassing to me. Deeply embarrassing.
And she's just getting like super turned on.
Oh, I mean, just you can feel it coming off her, you know?
She's like, I got something you can super taste. Cool. That's a joke.
That's what I got.
Okay. All right. Welcome back to We Are Definitely Afraid of the Dark. The oral sex joke podcast. It's a scary movie podcast for people who are scared of everything. My name is Steven Smith. I'm scared of everything. Pause for effect.
My name is Kyle Romero, and I'm a big brave boy.
All right, great. It's good. It's so Kyle's doing these things. It's a little thing that he does that we let him do.
I love that we explain it every time, and I love that you've leaned into not supporting me. It feels great. I love it.
Well, hey, there's just two of us today, so somebody has to not support you. It's me. We have a guest this week. Of course, we're back on that guest trip. He is
all right, try.
Wait, what? No, I'm not going to put the name up. Oh, wait, was that what the implication was? Okay, he's hilarious. I was going to say he's very handsome. That's what I was going to lead with, because I'm like, he's really cute. But sorry, he's off the market. He's currently dating someone who likes horror movies. He's very funny. He's a comedian, an improviser, a sketch performer.
What?
Andrew Miculka!
Yeah!
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Our best friend.
Yeah, we love
a
to get
skinny
it right.
legend and truly very handsome. But we discovered today, desperately afraid of scary movies.
Yeah, that was a real plot twist.
For the sake of everybody who's listening, I will recap what is now a familiar sequence of events to all of us. It happened to us, but I think it's sort of like interesting for context. We asked Andrew to do this. It was going to be a conventional episode in the sense that like we're kind of like back on our original bullshit. I guess no more themes.
Yeah, we should address it, guys. So we've had a little bit of a hiatus. A lot of stuff's been going on. Get off our butts about it. I feel like Paul F. Tompkins, whenever he was doing Pod F. Tomcast, and he was on Twitter. And
it was always like, I'll do it when I do it.
Yeah, I'll just do it when I do it. If you don't like it, go talk to the podcast manager and get your money back.
Yeah, historically a free medium.
Yeah.
So we're kind of like resetting to a certain extent, and then Andrew was going to bring in 3 movies. And then almost as quickly as he agreed to do that, we foisted a brand new plan on him because Emma's out this week, which means these like filthy little piggies get to go to the movies for real instead of watching them at like
Mother lets us out of our our pen.
So instead of watching it at high noon and occasionally getting spooked by a cat, we are going into the theater for the most authentic experience. And so, Andrew, to me, I'm like, no, Andrew likes horror movies. I never even thought to ask. It never even occurred to me kind of that you wouldn't, because again, so many people, we've had so many people on here who are like, the sicker, the better. You know, like that's their MO.
Psychos.
Yes, psychopaths.
All right, guys.
We'll get
I feel
to
like
you in a
we've
minute.
had an even amount, but okay.
We have
Neither of us are supporting you.
We have not.
Oh,
listen, this isn't a fucking Beaumont karaoke open mic, all right, motherfucker? You fuck up, we tell you. No, so then almost as quickly I was like, oh, plans change, same time, but we're going to the theater, we're going to see Us. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, this is great. Yeah. Of course, like, I'm sure you typing it is like, full phone shaking, this is great. But you did it.
I did it, and I feel like I have been baptized by fire.
Yeah.
I feel good. There was a moment when I got the text last night, and I was with my girlfriend, and I hope she's okay with me telling this, but there was a moment where I'm like on the phone, and I'm like talking out loud because I'm like excited to be invited to something. I'm like, oh, cool. People see me as their peer. And I'm like, oh, we're going to go see Us. We're going to at 10:15, blah, 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 blah. And she's like getting increasingly like more nonplussed with me. She's just like, and I like put down the phone, and she's like obviously not happy. And she's like, well, it's, kind of stole a date from us and whatever, because she wanted to see the movie. And I was like, I
boy, do you have egg on your face.
All right. Well, Andrew, you're canceled. We're getting your girlfriend on this podcast next.
Yeah.
She sounds like she's in our demo. Well, I think, so to me, it is truly like, I think, Kyle, take your metaphorical cans off for a second. This isn't for you. I do think it shows true heroism because, like, I mean, like, this is like a, like, not a stolen valor moment. It's a straight up valor moment because you, like, went into a theater to watch, like, not the scariest movie, but, like, it's a proper horror movie. Yes. In the way that, like, he was like, oh, Get Out is a psychological social thriller. Mm-hmm. This is a horror movie. It's scary. And it was. And you made it out the other end. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you just jumped in with both feet into the deep end rather than be like, no, miss me with that invite. I don't like scary movies.
Yeah, no. I could not come off as a coward to you all. I wouldn't let myself do that.
That's the whole meta narrative of this, though. You would have been embraced and celebrated.
We unknowingly peer pressured you.
Yeah. I do feel deep guilt about it.
No. The only thing that's more powerful than my fear is my ego. That's the only thing. It's the only thing that gets me anywhere.
We stand a sociopathic legend, baby.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah,
this
come on in. Come on in. The water's warm. Quiet, you two. I got a story to tell. So we've established that you're a deep coward. You're an absolute coward.
Deep coward.
What would you have picked? Did you even get far enough down the road of like movies to bring?
So I have watched. So I mentioned I watch. Whenever I have watched scary movies, I usually watch them with groups of friends, just like, and we sort of like make fun of them as we watch them. Okay. And it's more of a comedic experience. Yeah. And that's what I enjoy generally. And I was gonna say I don't like my favorite scary movie before this, because this is now my favorite scary movie, just because I truly like experienced a scary movie the right way.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh hell yeah, but. It was a movie about. Do you remember the one from a few years ago where all of the advertising had it was like home invaders with like plastic animal masks?
Oh yeah,
is it Stranger?
You're next.
Oh, you're
next.
Got it.
Because that has like the horrible, terrible family of like shitty rich people that just get murked, and you kind of love it the whole time because you're like, oh, they're all bad.
Yeah.
But there's like one good like sort of femme fatale lady that fights back and wins, and I was like. So horny for her. And I remember being with my group of friends just like honking like a goddamn goose every time she came on screen. I was like, fuck yeah, she's gonna be my wife. I love her. And I
virtue signaled during scary movies.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, that was my favorite. The thing is, I like the sort of karmic
balance of
like
it
the
all.
balance,
Yeah,
right?
The retribution.
Like the retribution, I like bad people getting what's coming to them, but I still don't like gruesome shit. You know what I mean? I don't like watching people in like crawling away in fear or whatever, and then getting like mutilated. You know what I mean?
Well, this movie, I think, because this is the second time that Kyle and I have seen it. We saw it together, really for no content. We were never going to harvest any content from it. We just like it was opening night.
For friends,
we're Jordan Peele fans. We want to see that movie, and so watching it for the second time, like I know when all of the kind of kills are coming, and I'd made them more gruesome in my mind because I was like, I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, there's that part where like the twins come out and stab the other twins in the neck, and then everybody kind of gets killed all at once. And I was like, that's tough knowing that's coming because it's such a surprise the first time. And I'm like, and that's going to be rough on Andrew. Like when we're watching it, he has this espoused distaste for gore, like in that sort of like visceral violence. What are we going to do? And then, of course, like it's all effect. Like it's all sort of like you don't see it. It's all implied.
It's like framed,
or it's far away or whatever. And so it is this interesting thing that you can almost like achieve that level of kind of like visceral experience without ever having to actually show it. Like this movie could almost be PG-13. Maybe?
I don't know, guys. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that's, I mean, Elizabeth Moss's character like
cuts her face
with the scissors.
Yeah, that's
I mean, there's just like there's a lot of stuff
fair
in
enough.
there.
You're right.
I mean, it's
You're
it's definitely not like
a full grindhouse.
Yeah, it's not. It's
spatter fest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's they're just not like kills in the like slasher sense.
Yeah,
where it's all about the.
That is our rule, though. We are like no torture porn. Yeah. Although we've now seen probably a couple of things that fall into that category unwittingly. But that I agree with that. It's just like too much if it's too
gruesome.
And then the sort of like extreme sadism for me is kind of distasteful. Particularly what like horror always likes to kind of make. Well, we're like 10 minutes into this, I'm like, horror's problem with sexual violence for this comedy podcast. But it is like that thing sometimes can feel like exploitative, and this doesn't feel. I'm just trying to talk myself off the ledge of feeling guilty about basically forcing you into this, because normally that's what the experience is. It is light and fun. We're telling jokes. Everybody's got snacks. But this one was just strap you into a chair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you want to order any food?
Yeah.
And Andrew's like, no, just coffee black.
Just coffee black, no sugar.
Need some to even me out.
I don't mean this as a drag or anything, but I was surprised when you said that this was your second time seeing it, because I looked over at you a few times.
Well, yeah.
And you watch horror movies with your face in both of your palms.
Yes.
Or your
I'm doing a full
mouth.
Lapita. Like I can't stop touching everything from the shoulders up. And then I plug my ears because I'm like a super taster, but for my ears. And so I'm like, if I can just quiet it down a little bit, I think it's actually like starting to have an impact on my hearing or something like that, because I'm like fully like
not.
I'm pushing into my brain whenever I'm watching these movies.
That is not happening.
Yeah. I mean, I jumped at a moment in I think a trailer more than I reacted to anything else in this movie. I can't remember what it was though.
God, I wish I could remember what you jumped at. It was so innocuous too. It was not.
It was that very Lutheran looking, like.
Oh, it was
Midsommar.
Midsommar, and then there was another Lutheran one. It's like we're in the north and we're all depressed. And,
the lodge.
The lodge.
Oh, guys,
man.
Well, okay. So the new pull quote that like every person who reviews horror movies that they put in every goddamn trailer now is nerve shredding. This is like a new adjective that they use to describe it, which is like, all right, I'm legitimately that works. I'm terrified. That movie looked fucking terrifying.
I love to see it.
Because I thought it was the kids, but it's the weird new mom.
Or is it?
Or is it though?
That looked honestly scary. Like going into the movie and seeing that trailer, I was like, I'm so happy I'm not seeing that.
The Lodge. This is what I was thinking. I was like, oh my God, at least we're not seeing The Lodge with Andrew.
Yeah. But when we were going through the trailers, I brought a stress toy in the shape of a banana filled with like sort of pliable sand that you'd use for a toy or something. And I was like, during the trailers, just squeezing that more and more, and I was like feeling the effects of like coffee running through my body. I was feeling like the sort of fear, and just realizing like, oh, I have gotten myself into something. Like, oh fuck me! Like I am not gonna feel okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously highly strung or high tension wire here. Same. Saw it. Knew what was coming. Still pretty worked up the entire time. Might have dozed off a bit near the end.
Literally fell asleep. Yeah.
Kyle is tethered because the soul is shared between him and another Kyle.
Yeah.
The other Kyle out there has the soul. We've got
You've got the
mole
shadow
guy,
version.
the mole shadow.
Yeah, you got the chud version. I'd seen the movie before, so there wasn't any mystery to me about what was happening.
Yeah.
I have been running myself pretty ragged for the past several weeks. I got 5 hours of sleep last night. Oh, no. And this is audience for context. We went to see this movie at 10 o'clock in the morning. So, yeah, I dozed off in the recliner.
In the full ass, Barca lounger.
In the fucking
in the
Barca
theater.
lounger at the draft house. Yeah.
And then also, arguably, it was in the tedious part where it's just here's what's been happening the entire time.
The second exposition dump.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about this movie.
Let's do it.
Shall we? We typically do a quick spoiler filled recap of the entire thing. Does anybody think that they can do that?
Oh boy,
it's a real twisty turny movie.
I can take a stab at it.
Uh-oh.
Okay, go.
All right, so we open on Santa Cruz Boardwalk, 1986. Family is doing carnival stuff. Little girl goes off by herself, ends up in this haunted house of mirrors thing, sees a mirror image of herself and freaks out. Cut to present day. That same little girl, she's on vacation with her family at her family's summer house. She's real nervous about being there for some reason. It's the little girl all grown up. Steven is grinning at me like Alice Morgan's not going to do it.
30 seconds.
And blah, 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 whatever. She doesn't want to go to the beach. She's scared. And then a mirror image family shows up in their driveway of them. They haunt them, and it's very terrifying. And then they escape, and then they go to their friend's house. Their friends are also have mirrored versions. Turns out there's a big apocalyptic attack, and all these mirror versions of these people that have been living underground for all these years have now risen out of the ground to do Hands Across America, which is insane. And then, that's time. But basically what ends up happening is that, man, I fell asleep with the exposition dump, so why don't you take the baton on this one? Yeah, it's revealed at the very, very end of the movie that the original human Lupita Nyong'o character did not make it out of that House of Mirrors, that she switched places with the underground tethered version and has been living underground and has led and organized this rebellion of the underground people. And the tethered version has been living with her, growing up as her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
There it is.
Whew,
it's a lot. I mean,
this
there's
is
so
a
much
truly
in there.
impossible movie to try to recap in a minute because it's got so much happens. We cover so much ground, and then there's this entire kind of subversion at the end that kind of recontextualizes everything like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that sort of what I think is kind of one of the biggest set pieces in the movie, which is all the action that first night around the house when the tethered first show up. I was telling Andrew as we left the theater that the reason why, because he was just worn the fuck out, basically just tired but also keyed up. And I was I think that sequence lasts much longer and from a pacing and rhythm standpoint than normal horror sequences do.
Yeah.
Before you get a break in that tension or a release of that tension where everything seems like it's okay for the time being.
Yeah.
And it's spread everywhere, in all these different locations. And it feels like it's 25 minutes long. It's so good though.
It's so good. Oh man.
Rewatching it, I'm all of these details. Lupita Nyong'o is amazing in this movie. I think she had to sort of apologize for using some sort of vocal disability as the inspiration for the way that she talks. It's really unnerving. It you kind of feel it in your body. This sort of like weird hinged movement that I've heard her describe as like the way that like a cockroach.
Pepper flake in the back of my throat.
Yeah, truly, it's like this this Thai food is hotter than I thought it would be. It's so good though.
It's so good.
I guess we're like on the side of like fuck people with that particular disability.
Is it a specific disability?
I don't know if it's like the effect of some kind of trauma or what it is.
I mean, I don't know. It just that seems weird to me. I mean, I don't want to discount people's the way they felt about it.
Did she ever divulge? Did she like personally divulge? Like, oh, it was this disability.
I think so.
Come on,
that was maybe the mistake.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like she should have just been like, it's vocal fry that I heard on NPR, and then just like run with it or something like that. But she did name it, and I think framing it in a way of like, oh, it was really interesting, and I just actors on their bullshit basically. Like, I was just getting kind of like lost in the method. But spoiler alert, it's fucking terrifying.
It's terrifying.
It's so
scary.
scary.
People with this disease.
So
scary. The other vocal performance that I want to shout out is Winston Duke doing a full-on Jordan Peele impression, which I didn't know he was like consciously doing. I mean, it makes sense. But the first time I saw it, I was like, "Is this motherfucker doing a Jordan Peele impression?" And then in an interview, he was like, "Yes, I'm doing a Jordan Peele impression."
Of Jordan Peele.
And like, what fucking stones on that guy to be like, "Hey, director and writer of the film, I'm gonna do this as you.
I'm clowning you the entire time.
I'm fucking clowning your ass."
Yeah.
Oh man. And also a kind of ineffectual character, I think written that way on purpose.
Yeah.
And to see that and be like, oh, this like ineffectual but lovable oaf.
Lovable loser.
That's you, Jordan. I see you in that.
The minute I read this script, I thought of you.
Exactly.
I mean,
the ultimate beta.
Winston Duke's character was like eminently likable. He gave off like a very big like fun dad energy.
Yeah, he was
like,
great.
Hell yeah.
The biggest. Yeah, I don't want to paint the impression I didn't like him. That character is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Simultaneously,
we all want to fuck Winston Duke.
I was going to say, simultaneously fun dad and also,
thick with 43 C's.
Putting him in that full bed, a very funny Disney Imagineer Air Force perspective
I'm
trick.
like trying to use like some sort of like weird spatial geometry, like drawing sort of like weird, like I've got like a protractor and stuff like that. Because I'm like, is he literally two times the size of a normal man, and that's a king size bed? Like, what is going on there? While there's this scene where he's like, it is to me. So there's like really interesting moments of kind of like comic relief in this that aren't that. Like, normally when there's comedy in horror movies, it's like to break the tension. Mm-hmm. This is like, no, it exists literally right on top of other people who are kind of spiraling out, and then somebody else is just saying something funny. Yeah. And I'm like, you feel seen in that moment, maybe, because like if your tendency is to always make a joke when other people are mad.
Absolutely.
But it's like, so that's like a really interesting performance, but he's trying to seduce Lupita Nyong'o while she's like basically, like losing her mind and looking out into the abyss. And he's a giant human being. Yeah. So, like, the bed looks like a little toy that he's getting in to try to fucking... And then I'm like, well, she's quite small. But I'm like, y'all expect us to believe this couple's sleeping in that bed? Like, is she sleeping on top of this man? Maybe.
And it's like the weirdest trick, too, because all he does is he just sort of, like, lays back. And he gets, like, some blanket under his, like, pelvis. And he's sort of, like...
he sort of like presents his like midsection basically.
It's like something that's never worked.
Do you ever see people out in public who are disproportionately like matched and just go like, and your immediate thing is like, I want to watch the fuck?
Yeah.
Like particularly when it's like a very, very tall man and then like what looks like an action figure that he's dating, like a tiny woman, and I'm just like, I just want to watch it just purely for science.
Have you, there's lots of pornography, very specific, I imagine.
Wait, you mean to tell me?
Have you ever seen, there's a picture of, like, Shaq and his girlfriend at the time.
Who's a very
walking,
small.
like a paparazzi picture. It's insane.
Wow.
Like, it looks like a forced perspective. Yeah. I mean, he looks like he could pick her up. He looks like a mech. Like, she's like a little kid who is like befriended it.
He's
like Iron Giant.
He's a Jaeger, and she like jumps into them and like powers him.
Yeah.
That's how they have sex.
Gonna open up like Men in Black, and she's gonna like pull some cranks.
I think to me, I might have talked about this on the podcast before, but it all stems this sort of like weird obsession, which I'm like, wait, maybe it's a fetish. I'll report back next week. I'll do some research this week and report back. back. The pornography, is that what you said? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Mental note. Is meeting David Robinson, a former Spur, as a child, and the Admirable, number 50, I think.
The Admirable.
The Admiral.
The Admirable Admiral.
All right, Gilbert and Sullivan, settle down.
So like him walking out of a Barnes and Noble and being like, not a sports fan, but like still kind of like, you're like, cool, a celebrity. That was what was exciting about it to me.
He's on HEB commercials.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. And then shaking his hand and then literally watching my hand disappear inside his hand. So it's like, it just like my arm stopped where his hand began. And I was like, oh, there's like, yeah, like giants walk among us. And I think Winston Duke is one of those people. He was the like outcast king in Black Panther, right?
Yeah, he was the like.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so fucking great in that,
Yeah.
and wildly different from this role.
Okay. I got a bunch of questions about doppelgangers.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, cool. So you, so we're gonna do three. It's a 3-part question.
Okay.
Okay. First one's table stakes. I'm lobbing you this first one. Do you fuck your doppelganger? Okay.
Wait,
that's just the first
you've
question.
got your hand up.
Do you fuck the doppelganger? Second, what do you think your tethered would be like? Like, now you've lived your life, and this thing has been forced to live the same life, good and bad, like all the good and bad stuff you did. So what is that tethered like? And third, how would you kill your doppelganger? All right, so we got a real smorgasbord of questions
You're
here.
just throwing them all out all at once. Just shotgun.
All right, let's do it one at a
blast.
time. Let's do it one at a time. Do you fuck your doppelganger?
Yeah, absolutely.
Andrew?
I mean, I am very handsome, as you said, so I couldn't resist myself.
Yeah.
You said you had a big ego.
I had a big ego.
Okay.
This is apropos of nothing, really, but I once got told that after a performance, I wasn't told I was funny. I was told I'd look very good as an older man. So we could probably fall in love. We could fall in love and stay together.
Yeah.
And I would marry him. And
what happened now? Somebody told you weren't funny, but you'd look good when you're older?
This is someone we know.
You got to name names.
It was.
You don't have to. You can tell us.
I will.
We can bleep
We can believe it.
It was Jessica Leith's husband, who does not like improv at all. And he came to a show of ours. I think it was an old Bone Dry show.
Yeah,
but
okay. He's like, you're not funny. Not for a minute. Didn't buy
not
it.
funny. But he
didn't say
you're not funny. He just didn't say.
He didn't say anything complimentary in that
and
way.
it should be noted, if you don't say we're funny, we assume that you're thinking we're not funny.
And so
lead with that, audience.
The kicker was, after the show, he didn't even come up to me to tell me anything. Jessica came up to me and was like, just so you know, Bobby thinks you he thinks you'd look good as an older man. And I'm like, oh, so I don't look good now? Like what?
Yeah, you look like shit now. But
So
you're
much
really gonna
dog
grow
shit.
into it.
So much to unpack. Wow.
Yeah.
There is a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Also, Bobby, I think famously hates live comedy. Hates it.
Yeah.
And so he's just doing a little mind play. He's just telling himself a story in his head to get through this sort of tedious activity of watching people improvise. And he's like,
he's watching us age while we're pretending to be dogs or something.
yeah, we're like two horny dogs at a funeral or something like that. And he's literally, he just disassociates and goes into this place. And it's imagining us sitting on a beach, me and Andrew, oh, we should have shared some time, skipping rocks or something. You're old, apparently, in the scenario.
Maybe
I'm
just
funny, maybe. Let's call Bobby and find out who he thinks is funny.
Maybe he was just imagining all of you on your deathbeds because he was hating it.
He hates us that much. Well, I don't know.
But he's not a violent person.
No. He's a pacifist. He was raised a Quaker, so I don't know.
And he saw me on my deathbed and he was like, you know what?
That looks awesome.
I could get on that.
Okay, you're all gonna fuck yourself. What era of you do you fuck? Young, dumb, full of potential. Old and wizened, but maybe handsome and rakish, more so than this trash bag.
I think I actually rewind to my 20-year-old self when I was my absolute horniest.
Okay,
and just raring to go. And just and not full of self-doubt.
Yeah. My body is a garbage bag now, and I mean it always has been, but less so. And also, I didn't hate sex. So, yeah, 20s, 21, 22. I'm just kidding. I love sex, guys. I'm a red-blooded American man.
Hey, can we clock in?
Ladies
we
out
all
there,
love sex, right?
Ladies out there, men out
I
there.
can take it or leave it.
You also have sex heads?
Y'all ever had sex?
Hey! People right now listening to this podcast have walked into the aisle of the theater. They're losing their mind. Full Def Jam. I would... guys, stop asking me. I'll fuck myself. I'm dying. We know what it smells like. Dying to know how that butthole tastes. No amount of calisthenics or Pilates or bar classes is going to get me around to lick that on my own butt.
This is my only chance to do it, Steven. This is a completely different question.
How would you fuck yourself?
I mean, like, sure, we'd all have sex with ourselves.
Like, Kyle goes, I'd fuck myself. Andrew's like, I'd fuck maybe an older version of myself. I'll eat my ass. I'll eat my own ass, baby.
To that point, I think we're all missing the fact that we can finally suck our own dicks.
Yeah,
just on a different
yes.
That's what we're all thinking here. I mean, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, fair enough.
I was not jumping straight to eating the booty like groceries.
No. Has this been on your mind?
I would love it. Truly amazing. Then we would also need to somehow be tethered like brains, like sort of like neurons and synapses and whatnot, so I could like feel it. Maybe we'd do some sort of like butt 69. I don't know.
Well, it'd be tough because you're tethered.
Cool.
You're tethered, can't vocally communicate with you.
Yeah.
So they're just sort of, you have to interpret their weird seal barks as consent. Steven's like, okay, I'm gonna put my tongue in your butthole now.
You just imagine there's a version of me. There's a version of me in a full red jumpsuit that has a zipper on the crack though. So
it's a full-on prospector flap.
So I'm eating that one's ass, and then that one's on all fours, and it's just pushing its glasses up that aren't there because I'm back there with full glasses on, like adjusting them. Eat my own ass.
Getting smudged.
Yeah, exactly. He's just pushing things up that aren't there.
You're adjusting them like a jeweler inspecting a ring.
Oh man, I would love to. Now I'm thinking about the seal barking. I would love to put like a frilly little collar on my tethered, a little hat on, and make him like bounce a nose on his head. Yeah, take him to San Francisco, put him in a zoo.
Y'all,
fuck him when I want.
This is why this movie exists, because we're immediately like, yeah, if there's a copy of me, I dehumanize it and degrade it during sex, and then like that's what this movie is literally all about. That like there's some externalized version of us that is all of our shame and guilt and like all the horrible things that we've done, and we're like, yeah, can't wait to exploit it.
Finally, a chance to fucking give myself what for with no consequences.
Yeah. Okay. It's a unanimous, near unanimous decision.
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Some variance in the style.
Yeah.
But we were there.
Ooh, how you killing yourself?
Well, mine, I feel like sort of ties in. Your second question was...
Well, yeah, I don't remember what it was.
It was like, how would it be different? Like, what would its thing be?
Like, how would there... Yeah. Because in this one, the daughter is, like, born laughing, and she's sort of, like, totally pure evil.
Yeah.
And the son is, like, burned. Like, the copy of the son is sort of burned. And he's a little pyromaniac, and he kind of, like, scrabbles around on all fours. Mm-hmm. And then... Winston Duke is kind of like this, like almost like automaton.
Monster.
Yeah, exactly. Just like sort of like pure brute force.
Mine would be like it'd be like a Pearl and Blade, like for the just like huge bedridden, like because it would be like eating all the time, but also would not get any. It's just living dead. So it's like
tunnel.
It's like, oh no, I got to eat again. my shadow version is
just eating
I'm
dead
upstairs stuffing Whataburger in my face, and it's like, all right, I got to do another rabbit. My guy's eating again. They can't exercise it off.
We got a video of like a rabbit like hops into the room that you're in. And it's like, oh shit! Jets out of
I'll
there.
take the next one.
What an absolutely horrible fate that you just have to eat raw bloody rabbit.
Oh my
all
God.
the time. They just eat rabbits. I mean, I don't think you do yourself any favors by like truly trying to understand. I hate it when people are like the big question for this movie was like, what happens when I get on a plane and go overseas? I don't know. Your fucking tether hits a wall somewhere in New York and then just stands there and waits until who knows? You fucking nerds.
Who gives a shit?
But the idea, there's like this part in that sort of like opening monologue when tethered Lupita is like you got gifts that were soft and cushy for Christmas. Everything I got was sharp and cold and cut my fingers. You gave birth to a child. This evil child was born laughing. She's like pure evil. You had a C-section for your second child. I had to cut my own child out of me. So truly, it's truly horrifying. Like, let's just focus on the kind of like impressionistic details. Let's not try to figure out the logistics of like, yo, where'd they get all the red fabric to make them suits and that kind of stuff.
Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. So like limitless rabbits, and that's all you got to eat. Yeah. All right, fair enough.
Also, people are like, why are there all those rabbits down there? It seems clear to me. I'm interested to hear you guys take on it, but it's like this was a cloning experiment. They were working on cloning. They started with rabbits, and then the rabbits that sort of got abandoned, and then just rabbits notoriously fuck a lot.
There's a lot of them, and they're like a good source of protein to keep these monsters alive. I guess. Yeah.
All right, good.
We did it.
We solved
we
it.
Tick that box.
Yeah.
How are you killing yourself? Oh no. What's your copy like, Andrew?
I don't know. He's like a stronger jaw and like a big dick. And he's like really cool, and he can like everyone. He has like an animal magnetism.
No. We didn't watch Twins. We watched us. He's the classic Schwarzenegger to my DeVito.
Fuck. I have. I think he's just sort of like pacing around, anxious and talking to himself in a room, like alone a whole lot.
He's exactly
just
like you.
Exactly like me. Just like worrying. Just like has terrible acid reflux because he's just like anxious. And God, I don't even really what.
This is the horrible realization of this question, which is like, what if my dark side is just what if I am what if there's no light? I am the dark side, and he's just more of the dark side. The insecurity, the sort of like pettiness and venal kind of qualities.
Yeah. Fuck. Good God.
What if like your tether is just super candid and telling everybody how he feels all the time instead of just like keeping it all bottling it up? So it's just like, and everybody's like, oh, like, but he just gives him what for.
I think my tethered is, no, I got it. My tethered is me, but instead of like figuring out how to hide my fucked up hairline, he just combs it back and it just looks like dog shit. And he just thinks it's fine. He's just like, he's like not phased. He just like slicks it back.
Not worried about it at all.
Yeah, in that regard, my tether wears shorts in public. And has lots of tanks. He's not shaving weird patches of body hair or doing any arm exercises, but he got tanks. Oh man, how embarrassing! How embarrassing!
If you see a version of yourself show up in shorts and a tank top, and it's just like the ultimate horror.
Just the widest legs,
the most upsetting version that could possibly be.
Just I'm imagining Stephen finding his tethered by like he's at the beach, he's at Venice Beach.
Already an unlikely scenario. Let's follow this.
But it's like that workout pit that's famous. And he's like, you're watching the workout pit because you're like these dudes, but you don't see you're tethered in there. You like look out, and on the other side, right across on the other side of like the workout cage is you just in a tank like licking an ice cream and like spilling it on yourself. Just like
make eye contact across the way.
He like waves happily.
He's so sticky. Ugh, gross. Get back in a hole, you pig.
He's just like happy-go-lucky.
Oh, what a nightmare.
I'm trying to watch these hunks work out. You're ruining the vibe.
I think that is the ultimate fear, right? That it's like, oh, your tether's kind of cool.
Wait, did you think Andrew was just describing a cool person?
Well, I mean, everyone's gonna like the sort of like happy-go-lucky guy who's like out in the sun.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, I just like ice cream. Everyone's like, nobody can hold it against that guy. But I'm like all brittle, sharp corners. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah. Wow. Well, we all have a lot of soul searching to do. You guys.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna kill that guy.
Fun question.
I'm gonna kill that guy, and Blades seem kind of cool. I read. Oh, so this is unrelated to this, but I had to learn about doomsday prepping for work. We do this thing. We do this thing where once a month somebody gives like a presentation on something that they know nothing about as this kind of like fun culture thing. And I was like, well, there's something you want to know about, but like you don't know anything about. So I chose doomsday prepping. Guys, there's a show on Netflix called Doomsday Preppers. It fucking owns. It's so good. There's like this one guy who's like a kind of like Wall Street millionaire, and he like is doing this sort of like escape from New York kind of scenario to meet up with his family so they can escape to the Hamptons. Like when there's like nuclear fallout from Indian Point or something like that.
Jost.
Yeah, exactly. So he finally gets back and reunited with his family at the end of the episode. And he's like, well, if it's a real nightmare, he's like, I did it. I'm proud of myself. And I know that like if it goes down, I can do this. Like I have it in me. I need to practice more, but I have it in me. And of course, if it's a total nightmare apocalypse scenario where everything's falling apart and we don't recognize like life on Earth anymore, well, then I guess I'll keep 3 bullets. One for me and one for my wife and daughter. Like he just says this straight into the camera, and I'm like, that's mental. Anyway, his mentor is like, you got to have evil in you to stab someone, because he just had like a lot of knives in his bug out bag, and so he's like, get a gun. It's easier to shoot somebody than it is to stab them. You got to have evil in you to stab them, and I'm like, okay, when you get a tooth taken out, but you're anesthetized, but you still feel it come out, that's what I want to feel as I'm holding the knife and I'm sinking it into myself, I think. I kind of want to just feel that resistance.
Yeah.
Or I've heard that people who are like nurses, when they're learning how to suture things, do it on like sausage casings because you need that like snap of skin.
Oh,
and you have to get like a kind of like muscle memory for that. Don't you want to feel that? I mean, it could be your only chance. I'm stabbing.
Steven, this is dark,
we could always shoot somebody, but
listen, it one shot to stab. Yeah. We got kids out here.
We
shooting
all
each
agree. Shooting someone is easy.
Anybody doing an elaborate Rube Goldberg trap so you don't have to feel as bad at it? You're like, well, I don't know. Gravity did the work.
I was thinking like doing all of the Home Alone traps, but like seeing which one would actually kill someone.
Yeah.
Like dropping a paint can into the face, brick off the roof, everything.
Yeah.
All of them would.
All of them would.
Poor Daniel Stern.
Yeah.
Kyle, how are you going to kill yourself?
Oh, man. I don't know. I'm distracted now thinking about the Home Alone thing because I got a bone to pick with this movie. There's a joke in it where he says we do some Home Alone stuff, and then somebody says something about micro machines, and then one of the kids says, "What are micro machines?" and the other kid says, "What is Home Alone?" The younger kid should say, "What is Home Alone?" That girl's old enough to know what Home Alone is.
You think she'd seen it by then?
I think she would have seen it by then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's my version of the like how they get that red fabric. Having seen the movie twice now, I'm like, that's not how
Defies
it just
credibility.
flip the line. Just give it to the other one. I was like irrationally angry about it.
I just love that it's like Jordan Peele truly a singular talent. He can do comedy, he can write, he can direct. He's like a true visionary. He's only producing good things. We do have some notes.
I have some notes.
Do you think there's like a mirror version of that Micro Machines Home Alone thing with the tethered mom and kids where it's like one's like, what is love? And the other like, what is kitty cat?
What do the tethered do while people are filming movies down there?
Just a guy like hand cranking an old timey thing in the corner.
Oh, there we go.
I want to see tethered Charlie Chaplin trying to walk around with the feet spread out.
There's a guy who just smeared bunny shit across his upper lip to make a mustache.
Who do you think in history has been a switcheroo tethered?
Oh. This is a good question.
I feel like
all actors.
All actors.
All method actors are switcheroo tethered.
I feel like if you got I feel like most people would be like, yeah, everyone who was ever evil was like that. Like every insane like dictator or whatever. But
that's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
So you're driven.
It works. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe. Oh wow.
Probably
We're really created a puzzle for ourselves here.
Is it? And I might get this wrong. This might be the Limp Bizkit guy.
Fred Durst.
Fred Durst. Robert Durst.
Robert
Durst.
Durst. Robert Durst. Okay.
Robert Durst is probably
he's a tether.
Absolutely.
He's got those shark eyes.
Crispin Glover is a switcheroo tethered. Yeah.
He's
anybody who just
tethered.
feels like they're like
Off.
a little cuckoo bananas.
Yeah.
There's like a thing where everyone's like, "Oh, you knew she was that she was like the copy or whatever because she wasn't snapping on beat on 5 on it." And so for me, I'm like, this time I'm like, oh, I'm going to really pay attention to that this time. And I'm like, she wasn't? Like a deeply white observation is just like, seems like it was on beat to me. Shrug, who knows?
That's super interesting.
Andrew, can we lay this sort of like weird Reddit theory on you that we read that might be interesting because you're like in that sort of like fresh post-movie space? Mm-hmm. So the theory is that like in a previous summer, because it's like a family cottage, that in a sort of throwaway piece of dialogue that they haven't been to in a few years, ever since like the grandmother died.
Right.
That in one of those previous summers, the young son, got switcherooed too. Mm-hmm. And so that the burn, and then it happened at like a kind of like developmental age. So that's why.
So he's all twisted now.
Yeah, and that's why he's like crawls on all fours and stuff like that, because he kind of like never learned to walk upright or something like that. That's, whatever. But the idea is that he's switcheroo, because see, like at the end of the movie, that like inscrutable look that he's giving Lupita Nyong'o to me meant he knew. The first time I saw it, he knew that she was actually the copy, basically. Right. Yeah. She was like the tethered mom, not the real mom. He'd figured it all out.
Okay.
Based on that sort of final interaction where they're killing each other and he's locked in the locker and is like watching it happen. And she kind of goes like, she does some of their like weird guttural stuff as she's killing Red. So they're like, he's figured it out, and she sees him and understands he's figured it out and is like, what are you going to do? Like, who cares? I still came out on top. But then this theory is that he's also a switcheroo. And so it's actually like a look of recognition, basically.
That's how I read it the first time I watched it, as a look of recognition. But then upon further reflection. This
you don't
time,
buy that theory.
Well, I don't buy that it was... Okay. I mean, theories are fun. You know, it's fun. You know, I love to like put stuff there that isn't in the text. Or is in the text but is not intentioned.
Yeah.
But to me, this time around, that look at the end felt like she was looking at him like, oh, okay, I made it. Like, she realized who she actually was. Mm-hmm. She realized that this was like the final hurdle.
Yeah.
That she now fully owned this life that she took over.
Yeah.
She was so scared at the beginning of the movie, like... Mm-hmm. Because she has to remember, right?
Well, that's the question. Like, does she remember, or is it buried trauma? Because all of it is revealed. It is convenient movie narrative pacing, where it's like things that are kind of hinted at are kind of suddenly filled in right before the last shot.
Yeah,
and so like, are we supposed to interpret that as like, okay, now she's like having this realization,
like
I guess
of
who she actually is, or. So is she like scared to go back to the beach because she's like, I don't want to go live in a hole again for the rest of my life? Mm-hmm. Or is she just like, it's scary, something happened there?
It read to me like she had the whole time, like, until you like get the reveal that like, okay, she was switcherooed. Mm-hmm. It read to me like she grew up in this life and sort of adopted it and sort of like was able to let go of it.
Yeah.
And I think she maybe like...
But forgot it?
Yeah, but forgot it or something because she was so young and like sort of had the remembered like or reversed trauma of like what happened when she got switched.
Yeah, it's sort of like a shapeless anxiety about it. And then knowing that her parents like put her into therapy and were like, and then she was like mute for a couple of years until she learned how to speak. But maybe doesn't remember specifically what happened.
You have to imagine in therapy, she was like, "No, I used to live under the ground," and everybody's and they're like, "No, you didn't." You know, like they like the world like beat that truth out of her.
So that is like repressed memories coming back.
I think so. I think so.
That's how I sort of interpreted it this time. But I was like, "Oh, am I just reading too much into it?"
And at the end too, the kind of weird thing that I was feeling was like, well, I know they were switcherooed, and I know she was like the doppelganger or whatever, but at the same time, she like led the whole life. Like she loves her kids. Whatever. So it's like, yeah, cool. I'm glad she came out on top.
I guess.
It's like,
I guess it's a weird thing. Like you're sort of like the person I've been rooting for is actually maybe the bad guy, but like, okay, it's like a kind of uneasy piece. I think there's like we talk about kind of like motherhood a lot because this is a thing on these movies where it's always like kind of. There's always like some mother who's having to kill or whatever to save her brood.
Yeah.
So in this context, it's really interesting to me because it's like, what is it like to watch like a perfect copy of your child die in a horrible way? And so I think like that sort of, so her reaction to the twisted body of the tethered daughter and then the sort of like crucifixion pose, like walking backwards into the flames of her copy son is like really haunting. Like truly a head fuck. And then it's weird too because it's like, well, she didn't like birth those children, but they look exactly like her children. And then in a way, like they kind of are because they like came from where she's from.
Yeah.
It's a head fuck.
A lot going on there.
Like never want to have a family. It's too hard.
Yeah. What happens if you run into their doppelganger?
Yeah,
you don't know how to feel about it.
Do you encourage your real daughter to run your fake daughter down in cold blood in the street? I guess you do.
Yeah. At what age is it appropriate for your children to sexually experiment with their own doppelgangers? You know? How do you police that?
Yeah, that's also an interesting thing because it's like what's fucking weird about that is like nobody in the underground gets what they are. They don't understand that there's another world, that they're like being controlled in that sense. So like only really like the two Lupitas know.
Yeah.
And so then but I guess she's repressed the memories because I'm like, isn't she kind of like a villain for not like going down there and basically like setting everybody free?
I think she repressed
She's repressed it. Yeah.
And also you have to think like when she's giving that monologue of like, I saw this girl that looked exactly like me. She maybe is telling the truth there.
Yeah.
She maybe is like, I can't remember watching it this time if she mentions like, I went to the boardwalk with my parents or what?
So.
Do you think so?
Oh, maybe not.
Because there's like an element of it where
She's like, I was in that Hall of Mirrors.
Yeah, I was in the Hall of Mirrors and I saw this girl looked exactly like me. And it's like, well,
so she's actually telling that story from the perspective of the girl.
Maybe, at least partially.
Yeah.
And then kind of came out of it and went like, oh, wait, no, I'm back. Like, convinced herself it was real or whatever. I don't know. There's also a weird thing where in the therapist's office, when her parents are talking to the therapist and she's in this like child's playroom kind of eavesdropping, she's playing with a sandbox and she's lining up all the animals across the sand like the Hands Across America thing. And I'm like, wait a second, that's tethered Lupita, but like she just got out. So, but not tethered Lupita, it's her plan to do the Hands Across America thing, right? Yeah. So why is tethered Lupita doing it? You know what I mean? She's like foreshadowing this thing.
Well, but there's a weird thing too. This is where I like my brain literally starts to fall apart because I'm like, I need to draw a map, or like I need to like essentially diagram it. But like, if you're above ground, you have the ability to control the person that's below ground, and so like theoretically, Red should be able to control Lupita Nyong'o, right? Right?
Yeah,
because of whatever this weird cloning experiment works. Does that get disrupted when they switch places, or is it like severed because they switched or something like that? Because if it doesn't, then if Topside, who goes down as a kid in the 80s, is like essentially lining things up, then that might be why the new Topside is lining up the animals in the the sandbox, maybe because she's like already on her Hands Across America shit. I don't know, or it's just visual imagery.
Yeah,
it's just foreshadowing of
maybe
this sort
the
of
intention,
like chain.
but it also feels intentional that it's in there to like, I don't know. It's hard to know.
Yeah.
And again, like I don't want to be too pedantic about it, but I just thought, oh well, that has an implication, like that she's doing that, and I can't sort it out. But the look at the end, just to put a button on that, the look at the end this time that I was awake for Haters. The look that the son gives Lupita is a look, to me, I read it as like that thing of like, oh, my parents aren't who I thought they were.
Yeah. It's their like loss of innocence.
Yeah, just a loss of innocence thing. Because I don't think he literally knows that she came from the underground necessarily.
Okay.
I don't think he literally knows. I think when he was watching her through the locker, I think
he's now seen her kill 2 people.
Yeah, he's watched his mom kill someone, and then in this version, like a very intimate. There's no one else around. I snapped her neck and growled, kind of kill. Yeah. You know, so it's like, oh fuck. Yeah. You know, and she gives him this like knowing smile, and he just kind of puts his mask back on. So I think that's how I read it.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he won't be fooled by her again.
Yeah, he's just kind of like...
the thing I think I like about horror movies is they really... and this one fucking unexpectedly leans into it. Truly hopeless. Like, the end of it is, like, really, really, really grim. And it doesn't really, like, leave you feeling kind of, like, good about anything, except for maybe the fact that this family that's quite charming that you've kind of, like, fallen in love with. It, like, they made it out in one piece. But then, the final shot is, like, literally just, like... the California hills, and then there's like a chain of people stretching on forever. Because I didn't mention this, but like once the tethered from below kill their counterpart, they all lock arms, as inspired by Hands Across America. So there's just this red chain as far as the eyes I can see, and then these sort of like helicopters swarming over them. It's an apocalyptic movie.
Yeah. Well,
or for America,
there's
at least.
At the very beginning when the young Lupita Nyong'o is watching TV. She's like flipping through the channels, and one of the things she hits is like the advertisement for Hands Across America. Do you remember the number they said? Because they were like, we need some number of million of people. So in my head, I was justifying it. I was like, only half the United States died. I was like, I think the rest of the world can like wipe up these doppelgangers, and you know,
they said like 6 million. Like
6 million
to do the Hands Across America, which that's not enough.
It's not realistic, and it
Yeah.
obviously didn't work either. I mean, like it was just like kind of in populated areas. But I mean, to me, what I like to think is it's like it's one for one, and for the most part, with the exception of like maybe a couple of these like weird side stories, pretty effective.
Yeah.
Like they drilled and they stacked their clothes perfectly, and they like hit all their marks and mostly wiped out everybody.
Yeah.
But I like to lean into the misery,
the ghoulishness.
What do you think if you were like Canadian and you woke up tomorrow and like a neighboring country is now filled with gnarly mutes essentially who are just like who are also kind of like not homicidal anymore though, because like their entire motivation is to kill the copy of them and then just like I don't know, be topside and live in the sun. Do you try to like build a coalition with them, a kind of like UN with them?
No, because what the fuck do you get out of that? These people aren't going to like suddenly learn how to farm.
Well,
they're just going to be like wandering around the countryside barking.
Yeah.
You just nuke them all?
And the implication too is like,
I mean, you don't do that.
The military is on it because like at the ending shot when they're like chained up across the hills, there's like 3 helicopters just staying above watching them. So I imagine they all come topside, and it is like this kind of apocalyptic event, but I just think from the helicopters, they just ice them at one point.
Oh, yeah.
They just fucking blow them down.
Fucking NATO comes in there, no question, and rolls into town, and the fucking globalists.
The U.S. gets partitioned, like Berlin.
Yeah, just, well, now we do need to build that wall. You gotta keep all these, like, American ghouls inside the country. and then they revisit it, like, 1,000 years later, and it's, like, this, like, utopic, futuristic society, but everybody's like...
they're still barking at each other.
They never
and on our side, it's full idiocracy.
Man and seal, bound as one. Land and ocean cannot be defeated. Aquaman.
Aquaman 2. Rise of the Seals.
I know that it's like he's like just creating new movies, like new properties and stuff like that. Well, I guess he's also remaking Twilight Zone, but
I mean all kinds of shit,
all kinds of stuff. But I mean, his movies are like like from the mind of Jordan Peele.
Filmmaker now.
Exactly. So he's never going to go full Blumhouse Purge or like he's never going to do like and now a 7 like. But I don't know. Maybe he'll reach a cash strapped point in his career, and we'll get to see some sort of sequel of this.
Yeah,
would you want it?
I don't think I want a sequel. I don't
never.
It's
never a good idea.
And I don't think he will. I don't think he'll ever get to that point where he's
principles.
Yeah. I mean.
Also, Chelsea Peretti's family is loaded. So
yeah,
her brother was a co-founder of BuzzFeed.
Yeah.
And he's the one who won't go to any of their unionization meetings.
Yeah. Fuck the Perettis.
The Peretti
That's just from Andrew.
No, this is an official Woodad stance. Fuck the Perettis. I mean,
I like Chelsea. I love Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea's
great.
And also Italians generally. Am I fucking right?
Whoa. No, I was thinking
that boot.
I was watching. So there's the Draft House pre-roll, and they have all these sketches from Key and Peele that play before the show.
Yeah.
And you mentioned this last time that these sketches are fucking all bangers.
All bangers, dude.
They're all so good.
I hate. I love Jordan Peele, but I hate him.
And I was just so frustrated because I was like, I love these Jordan Peele movies, these 2 movies that he's made. I love this pivot to horror. It's incredible. My man can't make a comedy again?
Make a comedy. Here's my thing. This is what I was actually thinking about this, as it was starting, because again, we get that pre-roll with these 10 truly amazing, hilarious Peele sketches, including them all of yours, one where he's waving the gun in front of his face and he flinches every time. Hilarious. But I think he has to do an auteur, not an actual trilogy, but he has to get 3 movies out of his system, because then everyone just knows he's a serious filmmaker and he's going to do a comedy.
Yeah.
So I think that you'll get a Jordan Peele or a Key and Peele comedy again after he makes whatever is going to come out in 2020.
I mean, also you can still see the comedy reflex in Us,
yeah,
because there are fucking Charlie Chaplin slapstick ass.
Heidecker is doing a full,
oh my god,
full physical comedy performance.
Yeah, the tethered fucking Tim Heidecker is fucking hilarious when he's on the boat
funny.
and he's sort of living up. He's he's just acting like
hands on his
legs. I'm gonna find you. Yeah. Tim Heidecker, tethered Tim, funnier than real Tim.
Yeah. All right,
you heard it here. This
is
Steven doesn't like Tim and
podcast
Eric.
split.
All right, let's get our kill list down. We got Heidecker number 1, Peretti's number 2.
I think one more movie and then we're gonna get it.
Yeah, but I don't want Keanu 2.
No.
I want it to be a full.
I loved Keanu.
I liked Keanu.
Nobody wants Keanu 2.
But I liked Keanu fine.
It's
but
fine.
I want it to be still. He's auteur driven. It's all him. I don't want Key. I love you, buddy. I don't want you in there. Doing a bunch of wacky shit.
This is the existential. The paramount existential fear of anybody who does anything creative with somebody else. What a goddamn nightmare. Mm-hmm. And so watching them do the sketch show, I was always a Jordan Peele fan. I always thought I liked his performances more. They're more grounded and kind of oblique and weird. And then Keegan-Michael Key is way more charming and big and sort of just in your face. He's the actor, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so when the show was done, it was he's the Jordan Peele is the underground Keegan-Michael Key.
Yeah. Fun fact: all of his lines on Key and Peele were dubbed. He was just barking.
He's actually a barker. Yeah. What is it? Anyway, we'll talk about Key and Peele sketches after we get off this. So loved it when it ended. I was okay, cool, that makes sense. But then the sort of immediate ascension of Keegan-Michael Key, who's an actor who can just immediately be slotted into something, was oh no, the one I like more is just going to disappear, and we're going to get a lot of the guy who's very funny but a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Whoa, boy, what a fucking true reversal where he's the toast of the town. Any idea he shits out, good or bad, they're going to make. And so far, all good.
All good.
But this movie made an insane amount of money. He'll get to do whatever he wants to do for the rest of his life. And he's the toast of the town. He's winning Oscars.
I mean, we firmly established that everyone in Pendulum is a monster and very jealous of everyone's success.
Yeah,
we all love each other. But can you imagine
if anybody
one of us became won an Oscar? and like
the footage though when he gets the Oscars, like there was video of like,
oh yeah,
Keegan-Michael Key is like, yeah, like
he's
you're
so
happy
happy
for your friend. I was like, nobody I know would do that if I won an Oscar.
Which I don't know, maybe is a sign that we're collaborating with the wrong people. But we are all fully mentally ill, and we would hate each other.
Andrew, you'll do plugs in a minute, but Prayer Circle's doing a main stage this Saturday. It starts this Saturday, correct?
Starts next Saturday, April 13th.
Okay. We'll get to it in a minute. Don't do the full. So let's run down the roster of people. Prayer Circle.
Yeah.
You win an Oscar. Who's in your corner? Who wants to see you dead? Just kidding. It's a joke. Tell us.
I was completely prepared.
Yeah, he kind of sat up in his seat.
He just fully poised up.
All right.
I was starting to take off his earrings. Like, put Vaseline on his face.
Where did he get that tea?
One thing I do think is interesting that like nobody ever talks about is there's like a third creative partner on Key and Peele.
The director,
yeah. Peter Atencio.
Yeah, this guy really is pissed.
Can you imagine?
He's like, you're a director the whole time?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, watching those sketches and it's presented as like, 10 times Jordan Peele told us he was pivoting to horror. Yeah. And it's like, Peter Atencio directed all of those sketches.
Or the fourth overlooked person, Ian Roberts of the UCB4, who's the showrunner and led the writer's room for all that stuff. I'm like, y'all, other people were involved in that work.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I mean, I get it. Their name's on the show. They're the only two, well, they're the two leads in every sketch. So, like, it makes sense. But also, that Peter Atencio is now
That's erasure, dude.
directing a show on ABC called Whiskey Cavalier. And it's like a shitty spy show. And it's like, oh man, what a fucking bummer that must be. To be like the guy who, I don't know. It's a lot. I mean, he can't deny that like Jordan Peele doesn't deserve it. But he must feel like...
Well, this is the thing that is dumb about entertainment and all art, really, which is like only a few things sort of like break through and are like lauded in a way that like, oh, the real genius all along was this one person. And it's like, listen, this sort of stuff isn't that hard. Give 100 people 100 chances. You'll get 95 pretty good things. Like, come on.
If all things being equal, if everybody had the same level of privilege and access
and luck,
then who knows how it would turn out.
This has become some weird support group. All right, any parting thoughts on this before we do ratings?
God, I mean, there's just so much.
Andrew, this is like your first movie experience and you loved it.
Bounce mic. Okay, so yeah, I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I was absolutely going to town on my stress banana the whole time.
That is a literal, remember, it's a literal thing filled with sand. It's not a human penis.
Dick,
I was jerking off the whole time. It's the only way I could keep my cool.
Fucking guy slipping when he comes to drop the check. You're a vast cum puddle. Truly bad timing, by the way, with the check drop guy.
No, that's how I would kill my tether. I would just like nut on the floor on some concrete, and I would like run away around the corner. And he'd like slip on it like a banana peel, and he'd just slide right into a wall and like bust his face and die. Got it. Cool. The big thing I took away was like it felt like it was paced fantastic. I loved it, and I loved how there's not once is there a jump. I don't think, but they do tease a jump, and I was like, I was like tickled by it because I was like, ooh, like. I don't know. I was like, my idea of horror has changed forever. Like because they do a little bait and switch where the daughter's what's her name, Zora? Mm-hmm. Zara?
Yeah.
Was running away from her tethered. And they like end up on opposite sides of a car looking through the windows at each other. And you see the tethered one sort of dip beneath the window. And so the topside girl looks underneath, and I'm like expecting to see like her face pop up or something, and it's nothing. And then I'm expecting like, oh, she's gonna come back up and it's gonna be a pop, but no, it's just like a slow pan to see like her red jumpsuit on top of the car, and you're just like, oh, this is so much worse.
So much worse.
No!
Oh, she's got the upper hand. She's got a higher vantage point. A lot of slow camera work in this too. Like a lot of just like. These kind of like 360 pans where you're just like moving around, like the camera is just stationed in the middle of like all of this chaos, and you're just like checking in on all the details, checking in on all the scary details as they kind of like emerge.
I want to note I thought it was funny how in 1986 the Hall of Mirrors that young Lupita goes into is called like the Indian Shaman's Quest or something like that, and then in modern day it's changed to Merlin.
Yeah,
you're like, that's fun.
That's probably appropriate.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like
and then
that
the voiceover in the Indian Shaman one was like just full on like then the spirit created the thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Well, and also a lot going on with that choice to put like the doorway to America's secret shame that lives underground is through a place called Shaman's Quest, with like all this Native American imagery.
Well, what I love about this is like Get Out was a race movie, and then like maybe to a sort of secondary extent, it was about class. This is like, what is your issue?
Yeah.
It like is all here, and if it's not, it could be mapped pretty explicitly onto it. Like you can just like take your pick.
Yeah.
And so I think I want the comedy too. I don't want a social comedy, I don't think. And so like if existing and if
you are currently working on a sketch comedy show
but
called
like,
Class War.
But I famously, and the sketches are bangers, but I famously was like, I think this is like 6 months ago when somebody tried to write like kind of a political sketch being like, we shouldn't do politics. Because it comes out like a kind of SNL cold opening, like totally, kind of hacky thing. I think everybody found a way into it. It'll be great. But I don't know that I think horror is so uniquely positioned to be this like interesting mirror to every person who watches it, and then also to be good sociopolitical commentary.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, cool. Like keep doing horror. Throw in a just benign, non-social comedy. Like, give me like a Bridesmaids level kind of like, I just laughing the whole time and I'm loving it. It doesn't have to be like, but the entire time.
The Tethered's doing a shitting scene.
It's called barking and shitting. Yeah,
you disagree, Kyle. Though you're like, no,
well,
give me
no. I just am a little exhausted by comedy movies because in general, like they're just all bad. They're like pretty universally bad. Like I just don't want to see like fucking movies with like it's the Apatow thing that is completely taken over.
3.5 hour
fucking
improv.
20-minute takes of dudes like improvising while they're smoking pot, and it's like I just want a more. I know you're not asking for that, but. I just want a more like structured. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I want to see something that's written, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
All right, let's rate this movie. We'll let you go last, Andrew, because you're the guest of honor. And so we like rate it, and then we kind of like rank its scariness 1 to 5, and like 1 to 5 units of something from the movie that would calm you down.
Gotcha.
It'll make sense. I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up. Yeah. I mean, like, I love this dude. I want him to. I'm like, how can we speed up this cycle of production?
Yeah.
Can he like, essentially like, do this thing with a sword that the Queen does? Like, can we just like knight a bunch of him so that we can have like one a year, basically?
Yeah.
I mean, horror movies seem like they should be, but he's like writing them and producing them, so it probably takes a long time to write them too. Yeah. I just want them.
Yeah, I mean, he turned this one around pretty quick. I mean, Get Out came out in...
Probably 2 years, right?
Yeah, Get Out came out, 2017, so...
All right, so it's great. Everything about it is great. I'll watch it a million more times. What I like about these movies, too, is I feel like there's like a hook here to be able to pull non-horror people into seeing them.
Yeah.
They're like good gateways. It's great.
The way you said that, you imply that
I'm now in the mix.
I'm
in
a
the
horror person.
Yeah, well, I am.
These other people.
Yeah. I've now effectively distanced myself from my ilk, and I don't have to feel shame about it because I was not here today.
I feel good. I love it. I love to see it.
I feel cold and alone. I feel abandoned. I thought I had a friend.
Baby.
So it's 2 thumbs up, and it's like it's 4. It's like 4.5. Yeah.
Wow.
I think it is. What is it? Like, it's 4.5. There's like nothing comforting in this movie. Like literally none of it is like, oh, that's nice. It's like 4.5 boat trips with Dad on the Crawdaddy.
Yeah.
But literally everything. I'm like, at one point in time, the son eats a Skittle. That's about it. Like everything else is like getting hit in the head with a fire poker, and so like it's just a tense movie. There's very few things that can calm you down in it.
Yeah, it is pretty tense throughout.
Yeah.
That's why I'm giving it 2 thumbs up. Yeah, I mean it's amazing. Jordan Peele's 2 for 2. Like, Get Out clearly was something that he'd been like marinating on for
Forever.
like a long time. And was the perfect movie for its time, which is only 2 years ago. And now it feels like a completely different world that we live in. And this feels like the right movie for right now. It's like truly shocking that he's able to like capture the zeitgeist this way. And also feels like we'll definitely be watching this movie, 20 years from now. And it'll feel still feel fresh.
Yeah.
And Lupita Nyong'o, we said
Give
it,
her an
but
Oscar. Yeah.
give her an Oscar for this. I mean, like, she better be on the list at the end of the year. Like, she's so good in this. Yeah, 2 thumbs up. I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5. It is very tense, very scary. That whole house scene is just yowza. 4 out of 5. Strawberries that I eat while my entire family is eating Long John Silver's. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah.
That was
She was eating strawberries because she doesn't eat meat. Because she grew up eating meat
rabbits
underground.
Oh.
That's how I read it.
Okay.
She's a vegetarian now.
I was going to say because they're red, but I'm dumb, so maybe.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's part of it too. But
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Is it my turn?
it's
It
your
is your
turn.
baby.
All right. This movie fucking slaps.
Yeah,
It is a 2 thumbs up.
Yes, yes,
I was not. I never like jumped or like really gasped. But like I was low key just sort of like shaking the whole time and just sort of like nervous. Just like
You would do this thing, which was like I would hear nothing from you, and then I would hear like this like sharp intake of breath, and go like. Like these sort of like deep exhales, and I know that because I do that too, and I'm like, yeah, sorry.
Well, look, you should be grateful that you didn't have to do all this in front of your girlfriend.
yeah.
You did it all in front of your 2 idiot friends.
I would have been. Yeah, you know what? You're right. Thanks. Bring me on these more often so I can relate to my girlfriend, but not shame myself in front of her.
You'll become our Baba Booey, who's just like in the studio while we record the episodes, like I saw the movie too, and I pissed myself. Like Baba Booey.
Just weird sound effects.
Just saying weird. You're like, let's get the Sibian in here. I'm just sitting on a Sibian the whole time. And I just pipe in and say, boys, I'm busted. And you turn off my mic.
Wow,
I
that's incredible.
I think I pretty much fall in line with the rest of y'all. It was not a 5 because I was not like mortified the whole time. It's like it is a solid 4. Winston Duke's banging on a boat engine to get it to work.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Great boat engine work.
Some good.
Winston.
He smacks his head against it to
Yeah.
get the fucking his. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Just chopped
Oh
him
yeah,
up.
a guy does get ate up by a boat motor in
Yeah.
this movie.
And-
I forgot about
And fully
that.
spatter everywhere.
Yeah. So it's pretty gory.
I guess so.
We dispatch. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how I felt like at the beginning. We're going, all right, another hour, boys. How like you feel a little bit like the biggest threat is dispatched because like Winston Duke, mountain of a man,
Yeah.
is like his doppelganger is like immediately like murdered.
Yeah.
And you're like, huh, okay. I wonder how the rest of this is going to go. And then it's like, oh no, it's the whole world.
It's the whole world.
Yeah.
It
The whole
literally
world.
is like, I mean, having the first, when that realization first struck, when it's just, and then I'm dumb. Like Kyle is always seeing around the corner in all these movies. He always like knows what's coming.
Yeah.
But I'm literally just like
yeah, it's
watching
true.
the movie like as it unfolds, and I don't have any sort of like higher brain function that's doing anything. So when the tethered twins come out and kill the 2,
I hated that.
I was like, "Fuck! It's everywhere!" I never even thought it would be ever. I thought it was just like it truly fucked me up.
Did you catch that? So when Winston Duke's, I gotta say his full name. It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so cool. When him and his tethered are on the boat,
Yes.
there's a moment where he's still hiding in the bag or whatever, and his tethered goes over to like bang on the engine, and he like barks out into nothing, and then there's a bark back.
Yeah.
During that time, everyone's in the house still.
Yeah. I did
so
not
you're
piece
like,
this together. I just assumed it's a member of the other family.
And if
true horror.
It sounded like Tim Heidecker's character's bark.
True nightmare, you guys.
Yeah.
I did not piece that together, even in the second viewing.
Yeah.
I thought it was the daughter or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Fuck. What a nightmare.
Yeah, what a nightmare.
Jeez.
Cool. So 2 thumbs up for good time at the movies.
I can't get that like the music they used on the bum bum.
It's so good.
Can't get it out of my fucking.
Oh,
head.
And there's
great.
also this like weird audio cue that.
Oh, I was gonna say, Fun Trivia Fact wasn't gonna be in the movie.
But it's so good in the trailer.
They did that like orchestral version for the trailer only,
Yeah. And then it
like, fucking banged.
Everybody's
and they're
like,
well, we got to put it in the movie, so they put it over the fight.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, I love it. Filmmaking's so fun.
We haven't mentioned the score at all.
It's very, very good.
It's incredible.
There's this like one
the
weird
opening
audio
credits
cue that is
sequence.
like, it's with like the djembe drums, but it's also like,
Yes.
sing
The
to
choir, like satanic choir,
So
over the
good.
slow pan back with the bunnies.
that entire thing is so good.
Oh God!
I
And then
want
there's,
to
like-
say I'm happy that Jason the kid got a little bunny from the underground.
Yeah, I didn't
in
notice that the
car
first time
theme.
around either, but I was like, oh, he's got a little rabbit friend. Everything will be fine.
Yeah,
They'll be fine.
I'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's do some pluggy plugs. Andrew, where can people find you online? How can they come see you do comedy live?
So people can find me on Twitter at Kulky Poo. That is CULKY_Poo.
And I assume that's POO.
POO.
Okay.
No H on there.
No H on there, baby. I think that's what my Twitter handle is.
It's good content.
It's good content. PP Mega Poo Poo is the name. Like the DD Mega Doo. I was happy I got it.
Yeah,
you got
this is a space where we know.
I was so happy to get that because I made a point to like look that up all over Twitter and be like, has anyone done this yet? So I'm on that shit. People can see me every Sunday night at 8:30, performing at Cold Town Theater here in Austin with Stool Pigeon. And coming up soon, this Easter season, I am also with a... What?
The perfect show for Easter.
It is a perfect show for Easter, and let me tell you why, folks.
Bring out the Sibian.
Yeah.
Shout over it, Andrew. Shout over it.
The show will have a Sibian. We have Prayer Circle, a group of which I am a part of, is putting on a show called Holy Shit, which is an hour-long sketch show of just sort of lampooning megachurch culture and all of our traumatic childhoods. It will be over 3 weekends during the Easter season. So let me try and say here. It'll be it'll be 7 p.m. every night on April 13th, April 14th, April 20th, April 21st, April 27th, and 28th.
Perfect.
So those Saturdays and Sundays, the last 3 weekends of
April.
April.
Love it. We stand.
What we love to call the Easter season.
Oh no!
What a villain.
Wear your pastels.
Gotcha.
What about you, Kyle?
Fun fact. Another fun fact for you. I need a jingle. Right after those Prayer Circle shows on Saturdays, not Sundays, you'll be able to catch Pendulum Presents Class War. As you're listening to this show right now, we have a preview show at 8:30 p.m. tonight.
Don't come to it.
Don't come to it. We still got some things we're working out. I forgot that we're not going to really promo it too hard. And then, Saturdays starting April 13th, all through April and all through May, we'll be doing the show at 8:30 p.m. at Cold Town Theater. It is sketch comedy for the working class.
Yeah.
Sketch comedy for the 99%.
That's right. And it's all it's political sketches, but but it's not like Steven said. It's not like SNL cold open shit. It's like eat the rich shit.
Yeah.
So
we actually do have stickers that will be available at the show that say "Eat the Rich."
Yeah, you're gonna love it. We're very excited about it. We think this material is like really, really solid. So please come to the show if you can. It would be fantastic to see you there.
And I was doing a character bit in bed last night with my wife, and she was busting a gut. So she likes it. You will too.
There you go.
Can I get it under the wire here real fast?
Oh,
I forgot.
Sure.
Prayer Circle Presents Holy Shit is also doing a show this May for Austin Sketchfest.
Oh, yes.
So look
out for that.
Yes.
Sweet.
We love. I also should add, Class War, we're going to be giving a portion of the proceeds to, I can't remember the name of the organization. It's a Workers Defense Fund, I think is what it's called.
Workers Defense Project?
Workers Defense Project, yes. We're donating part of our cut to it, and also when you buy a ticket, you have an option of buying donation. A little more expensive ticket. That portion will go directly to them. So
we love it.
We're putting our money where our mouth is. Come check it out. We're so proud and excited.
Yeah. Bye.
See you later.
Bye. Thanks, Andrew.
This was a horrifying experience. My day is ruined. Thank you.